Okay, we're going to use this picture of a desk tidy as our subject for constructing a isometric drawing. Before actually venturing into constructing the isometric crate, it's always useful just to establish some orthographic views, that is, some flat views, just to help you when you are trying to find where things are and the general arrangement of the product. So I've just drawn this rectangle. It's roughly got the same proportions. This is wider than it is deeper, and although it's hard to judge from a photograph, it appears to be quite shallow. I may have made that a tiny bit tall. I'm just going to draw in this edge here. There's a slight step, so it's probably about here. So just draw that along. And the step up is not quite halfway. It's about here, so we'll be stepping up a little bit and going along like so. And that also coincides with this bit here. So just bring that up to the top. And we've got our little drawer just here. And I can just see behind the tablet here, but there's also a little compartment there. So just above here, we've also got an edge going along like so. And I'm also going to do the same as a kind of plan view as well. So here's my front. Let me just write that in. And then I'm just going to do a plan view here. And again, it will just help me establish. So the plan view obviously has the same width as the front view, and the depth is, again, I've sort of guesstimated that. So looking from above, we've got this compartment at the back here. I'm going to say that cuts along here, and we've got that divider coming down, and we've also got slightly offset from it, a second divider here. And obviously there will be some thickness to the wood on these, but I can add that to the isometric. So as before, we're going to start by creating a isometric box or crate within which we're going to then construct the detail of this particular product. So bearing in mind that with isometric you see as much of the top as you do of the bottom, I'm going to start quite low on the page, and I'm going to start off with a ruler, although I'm going to be guessing other aspects of the isometric, and I'm just going to start my drawing quite low down. So just a line like so, and I'm going to have my vertical here, and I'm sort of judging and making sure that this stays vertical, and I'll just draw that up very lightly at first, and bearing in mind I want to leave as much for the top of the isometric as I do onto the front. I'm going to go up about 5 centimetres, roughly about 5 centimetres, and we'll then judge everything else in relation to that. So about 5 centimetres, that leaves me a good 5 centimetres for the top of it when it's drawn in. Now I need to do my two isometric horizontal edges, which should be at 30 degrees. I showed you last lesson about how to sort of judge that, so I'm just going to put a little quadrant in here, divide it roughly into 3, and go with the bottom quadrant, one of those little marks I made, and draw that off at roughly 30 degrees. And I can do the same in the opposite direction. I'll just judge that by eye, something like that. Okay, so this is going to be the front view, so I'm going to keep it in the same orientation as the photograph. So I'm going to just make a judgment that I want the back edge to start here, and then on this face here it's going to be narrower, more narrow rather, and we'll have it stopping about here. Okay, now that I've made that decision, it was just a decision, an estimation, I'm now going to draw in my back edges. Again, I haven't established the height just yet on those, so I'll just sketch them in, and I can find it relatively easily. So now for the top edges. So if you look at our example isometric crate there, I now want to draw these edges in here, or the edges of the crate, and they run parallel to the bottom edges. So I'm going to use my clear ruler, try and just judge when they are parallel, and send a line up here, and likewise on this side, send a line up here. Now I can do my two remaining back edges for the crate, again making sure they stay parallel with the front edges. So I'm just judging that. That goes along like so, and likewise on this one. No, not yet. Just about here. That looks good enough for me, and like so. So here's my isometric crate, and I'm now going to start putting in what detail I can from the views that I've got. From here to here, it's hard to judge from this exactly how high that is. I'm going to go for just shy of halfway, and then we have a diagonal which goes to a point roughly around about here. I think I've made my crate deeper proportionally than this, but it doesn't really matter. So I'll just draw that in, and from now on I'm pretty much going to just do things freehand using the crate as reference. Now what happens on this side appears to also happen on the other side. It's difficult to tell from the photo. So I want that to be over there. So I'm just going to very lightly draw a line going across. So that's that point there. And then likewise I want to do the bottom here, draw that across to there. Now you're more than welcome to use a ruler if you want. And then I'll just draw in, again trying to make sure I always draw and try and keep the lines as continuous, not too furry. So I'll just go down to here, and I'll keep the lines light until the very end when I can then add weight to them. So we've got the overall sort of form of it. Now I'm going to start putting in my detail. So I can draw this edge in here, comes along, and it sort of steps up, doesn't it? Somewhere about here, steps up, which then gives it a slight ledge for those for the tablet and so on to lean against. So bring that across to there. We have this angled part, so that's going to go from here and it's going to stop somewhere up here. So whatever this distance is, it's going to be the same at the top. 1, 2. And really the key thing is just making sure that we keep these diagonals all parallel with each other, because that's what they are. Okay, so I've got this all in. I'm now going to start putting in a little bit more detail about these little compartments. And of course I need to take into account that this is not made of paper thin wood. It's the wooden pieces have all got a thickness to them, and I can then start just drawing those in. So I'll start that now. So we have coming up to here and going along to the back, and we'll just go along the back now. And down this side, and then we've got this piece coming down here, slightly out of parallel there, down to the bottom. And there's going to be obviously a thick piece of wood here. I may have made that back compartment a bit thin, but not to worry. Okay, now this little section here with the post-it notes, I'm going to draw an edge going down for this one here, and that will eventually meet an edge coming back from here. Now this is a horizontal face, so this edge will be going back at 30 degrees parallel with that. So bring that back, and they meet there. And of course you've got the back of the compartment, and that will have an edge here which runs parallel with these ones. Now I've got the thickness of the wood here to do, and again that will just run down parallel to this line. And I also have, you can just about make out a little sort of compartment here going along. So I'm going to judge that it's about here, and that will run along to here and run along here, which will just give it some thickness. We have this little step up, which sort of makes the drawing a little bit complex, but that will have some thickness on. We must have an edge going down here, and we might be able to see the edge coming back from there. and we can then draw this in. And likewise, we'll have an edge coming down here, and that appears to disappear behind there, and an edge here, and so on. So we've got that compartment done. We've got to put one more in here. So again, at 30 degrees going along, 30 degrees, and we can draw that appearing like so. Now we just need to do the little drawer here. Okay, so the little drawer appears to be mostly in line with that compartment there, so I'm just going to lightly draw some lines down here. Do the overall shape of my drawer to start with, and then I can just firm these lines up and along. And we've got this little sort of semicircle cut out, so let's just find the middle. With circles, it's always good to start with the isometric. So I know the circle starts here, it touches there, and finishes there. So I'm now going to just guess an ellipse, or half an ellipse, which fits in there. And we'll also see a little bit of the thickness of the wood as well. So I've got all my lines in place now, but they're all sort of about the same weight, and my construction lines as well. So I now need to make it pop from the page. So I'm now going to add weight and use the thick and thin line enhancement to make it pop a little bit more. So to do that, I make judgments about each of these edges. If I can see both sides of an edge, it stays light. But if I can only see one side of an edge, I then add weight to it. I'm going to just do it freehand. You might choose to use a ruler. So here we've got a hard edge. Here we've got a hard edge. Got a hard edge. Got a lip here, so that needs to come along, and that's behind which the tablets sort of sit. And it gives a better sense of these being compartments. And because this drawer does come out, it's not just printed onto the front, I would also add a slightly heavier edge to the drawer, even though you can't necessarily see round each of the edges. And of course, the outside as well. We'd also add weight to that to make it stand on the page. And I am going to use a straight edge for this, because they're quite long lines for me to try and do freehand. So we've got all the details we needed, and just give it a sense that it's sitting on something. I might just do some light rendering away from just those edges which touch the surface that it's sitting on. Again, just to give the object the appearance that it's sitting on something. Sometimes it's easy to do this with a thick marker.